All right, we are going through our top 10 Aussies in the Premier League of all time with Stats Guy and Marcus from the Football Today Show. What do you got, Marcus? We're going to go 10 to 1. I feel like that will build up to our number one.
Yep.
I feel like we've got differing orders, different players. It'll be a bit interesting here. What do you got number 10?
Well, I'm very excited about this show, actually.
Yeah.
So stick around to see who finishes on number one and who we have different.
Yep.
At number 10 for myself, I've got a recent player, Aussie in the Premier League, Matty Ryan. Played for Brighton and Arsenal.
That's too low.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Too low. Matty Ryan at 10. Well, he's had 124 games, just 28 clean sheets, but he was playing at a lower club. But like when Robert Sanchez got picked over him, that's when he ruined his Brighton career, and even I reckon his playing career, because you couldn't even name where he's at now. He's probably like Genk or...
I couldn't name. Yeah, which is sad. But he had a good career, yeah. I think he's definitely in the top 10, yeah.
Who's your 10?
I'm going to go Aaron Moy. Used to love him. The bald magician, obviously came over to Celtic, did really well. But he was really strong in the Premier League. I think people were talking him up as one of the best passers in the league when he was at Huddersfield. Sort of was building up his career. And then he dropped off at Brighton, couldn't really get in the game. And then it killed me when he went to the Chinese league for a lot of money, which fair enough to build up your family. But I was sad that he wasn't still playing in the Premier League. So he's my number 10 for that one. And
that's a good segue into my number 9, actually.
Oh, have you got
I've got Aaron Moy.
Oh.
Aaron Moy. Obviously, he got that move to Man City, didn't he? And then he got loaned out to Huddersfield. Then Huddersfield got him on a permanent. But he had 96 games, 9 goals, 6 assists. But I still remember that one game where he absolutely tore Manchester United in half. Remember he scored a brace, didn't he?
Yeah, he scored the was it the winner? Yeah, there was.
Yeah.
Against Manchester United for Huddersfield. That was nuts. Yeah, I do remember.
That was great.
Yeah, good call.
Who's your 9?
9, you mentioned him already. We're just swapping and changing. But Matty Ryan, he snuck into my 9.
We just switched him around
chopping and changing between 8 and 9, as you mentioned. Pretty solid. Not as many clean sheets as he would have liked, but he was just an imposing figure. He's a big man. Did really well for Australia.
He was actually quite short. For a short goalkeeper, he's 100. He's shorter than me.
Really?
I'm 186 or 187.
I saw you in goals in some of our socials. So
and you saw how bad I was. Imagine Matty Ryan is even shorter. So
he makes up for it in size. Yeah, I think he had a solid career. He was a bit stiff with some of the teams he played on. Definitely kept some of his teams in game. So yeah, he sneaks into my 9. What
Obviously
about you?
a few appearances at Arsenal as well.
So we go on to 8 now. What did you got for 8?
Number 8, another recent player actually. Ooh. I've got Mile Jedinak.
Oh, okay.
A leader. He played at Crystal Palace basically his whole time, and then he got to move to Aston Villa. But I don't think he played a game for Aston Villa.
No, I don't think he did.
He had 90 games for Palace. He was a leader. It was
Captain,
just brilliant free kick taker as well, wasn't he? He scored quite a few. And he really just held that Palace midfield together for like quite a number of years.
He also has the best beard, I think, all time in the Premier League.
In the Premier League,
it's just this black bushy beard.
Who wins it a beard off?
Jim from NBA Australia,
from NBA Australia or our other...
it's got to be Mile Jedinak. I feel like, you can't have a redhead win a beard competition.
True. That's the reason why I'm picking him. That's the reason why I'm picking Jim, though, because it's even more brave as a ranger to have a big beard. Get on full display.
That's funny. That's funny. Yeah, great beard, great free kick taker. Definitely. So he's your 8. Yeah. My 8, which I feel like he's a bit stiff to be in the 8, Robbie Slater. So I got Robbie Slater. He obviously had a great career. It was the first...
Really?
Like a solid career, but I think I'm putting him in my top 10 because of first Aussie to ever win a Premier League.
Yeah.
And I think he was a sort of a guy that really inspired a lot of other people. So I'm putting him in my 8. He was a solid player. Definitely didn't get as many opportunities while he was at Liverpool. I had a look at some of the stats. The stats aren't there to back it up, but I think he was a real guy that inspired a lot of other people.
He won the league with Blackburn.
He won with Blackburn, yes. That's what I was about to say, yeah. Yes. So he had some really good players around him and he was a bit stiff not to get in that lineup. But I think, just in terms of a guy first, in the lineup, I'll go that one.
I don't even have him in my top 10. So
wow. That's Robbie.
So you've obviously got someone, obviously had
I've missed out on someone for you, yeah. So what do we got? Up to 7 now?
Up to 7 now.
Yeah, you go.
I'm going with... a lot of people don't like him today, but Mark Bosnich.
Oh, I've got,
he played at Villa, Manchester United, and Chelsea, which he didn't really get many appearances. Played 206 games in the Premier League, 74 clean sheets. He was the latest Aussie to be a Premier League champion. We talked about Slater. In 99, 2000 with Manchester United, where he played 23 times, and he was just an absolute loose unit. He was a character. He was one of the characters. I think Sir Alex Ferguson in his autobiography mentioned Mark Bosnich in his book.
He did.
Saying that he was one of the worst professionals that he's ever coached, because there was one game where they had a big game coming up and he was just in the cafeteria just stocking up on food, stuffing his face when they got him to his weight goal.
And he was still good, yeah.
And then he got called out for it. He's like, Mark, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing here? And then after they got on the plane, when they got home, he was ordering Chinese takeaway.
Oh, good on him. Good on him. And he still performed to that level that he was at. That's awesome.
Who's your 7?
7 was Mile. We already talked about him. The best bid, I think, of all time in sport. So Mile Jedinak, great captain for Australia. He got the Asian Player of the Year while he was at Palace as well, because he did really well for the Socceroos. I wrote that down here.
Yeah.
Awesome free kick taker, awesome penalty taker for Australia and Crystal Palace. But yeah, mainly Crystal Palace. That was an awesome career. And yeah, I think a lot of Aussies started following Crystal Palace because of him as well.
Yeah, for sure.
We already talked enough about him. I'm going to go number 6. Who have you got?
Well, I've got Lucas Neal.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Played Blackburn, West Ham and Everton, 279 games and 79 clean sheets, which is actually fairly impressive considering he played at like sort of mid-table clubs. Again, he was another old school sort of type of player. He was a leader and he turned down Liverpool.
That's right,
because he's apparently he's a little bit notorious for, give us a little bit more cash.
Yes.
But apparently he said that wasn't true. Apparently it's for playing circumstances. But who turns down Liverpool?
I know. Especially Aussies. A lot of Aussie footballers just want to play at Liverpool, Arsenals and things like that.
Just had a look. The fact that he turned down Liverpool for West Ham and then went to Everton.
Yeah.
After that.
And he struggled at Everton as well.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Well, talking about someone who didn't struggle at Everton, Timmy Cahill. I feel like people aren't going to be happy that I've got him in at 6. I don't know.
Cahill at 6 is low.
In terms of I think in terms of people that I look up to, definitely he's number 1 in terms of Aussies in the Premier League. But he got 45 goals. I think there's a lot of other guys that have been better attackers, which we're going to talk about and you're going to talk about, I can already tell.
Yeah.
That's why I put him in at the 6. And then I've put some keepers that just played the longevity. He didn't play as long as some of the other Aussies in the Premier League, so that's why I've chucked him at 6. Obviously a legend, destroyed every team's corner flags. They had to every time he played, you'd have to get a new corner flag in every single game. So yeah, Timmy Cahill.
But like when you think of like if someone asks you, who's an Australian to play in the Premier League, they'll straight away go Tim Cahill.
I agree with that. Yeah, but I think
in an icon sort of sense,
because he was so good for Australia. I think if we're saying players for the Socceroos of all time, I'd have him a lot higher, maybe even number 1, or probably number 1.
I feel like even people from England would say Tim Cahill.
But I don't know. That's what I'd say.
But in terms of stats, you're right. Though.
Yeah, in terms of stats, that's what I like to go by, obviously. So yeah, I'm going to put him at 6.
Top 5 now.
We're up to top 5. Here we go. What do you got?
Close. I've got Brett Everton.
Yes.
He played at Blackburn Rovers. A lot of Blackburn featured in here with Aussies. 246 games. He was at Blackburn for pretty much a decade, which is, if you think of that, like even a Premier Leaght player now to stay in the Premier League for 10 years is an incredible achievement.
Awesome, yeah.
So I'm going to go him. He was good on the ball, creative for a sort of midfielder. So Brett Everton.
That might have been one where I was iffy of putting in my team. That's the one I might have forgotten about.
Not even in the top 10.
I may or may not have forgotten about him, or may have. I think a bit of bias come towards a few of the other players.
Recency.
Yeah, a bit of recency bias. If I'm probably doing this again, he could probably sneak above Aaron Moy, but I just love Aaron Moy. So, but that's the one I think that is the difference between us. What are we up to? 5?
So you actually don't have him in your list?
I might not. Yeah.
Oh, that's huge.
It's not good. What are we up to? 5.
He was my 5th. Wow.
I've got Lucas Neal. You already mentioned him. I think he has to be top 5. He's one of the best Australian defenders of all time. Just so strong in defence. Could get a few headers as well for Blackburn as well, wasn't it? Yeah. So I think he has to be my number 5. We've already talked enough about him though. Number 4. We're getting a bit closer to the top here. Who have you got 4?
Well, it's someone you've already mentioned. We've talked about him. Watch out, corner flag. It's Tim Cahill. 56 goals, 22 assists in 226 games.
Awesome record, yeah.
And they only bought him for 1.5 million.
I forgot to mention that actually.
Absolute steal. Yeah. And he was only 180 centimeters.
Really?
Yeah. Wow. So, you think about the headers that he won.
He's probably one of the best headers in world football of all time. And he's only 100. That's crazy. Yeah. Not even 6 foot. Yeah. He's got the leap, the Ronaldo's type leap.
He's got the legs, the spring.
Yeah, awesome. What are we up to 4? I'm going Mark Bosnich. I think, as I said before, longevity and guys that can stay in the Premier League that long. I know it's easier for a keeper, not as much wear on their body, but he was an absolute superstar and was picked just in every single team. I wrote down something about him. He quoted in saying this, I'm not sure if this is true, but he was quoted saying this, he was the only player that Sir Alex signed twice for Man U. So he left for a bit, people weren't liking him, he came back, and Sir Alex Ferguson, obviously one of the greatest managers of all time, signed him twice, backed him, and saw him as one of the players they needed to have. So Bosnich is my number 4.
Geez, so I had him at 7, so there's a bit of a difference there.
I know, I forgot about Brett Everton. Let's go top 3. Who we got number 3?
I've got Harry Kewell.
Ooh.
Harry Kewell at 3.
Yep.
Obviously Leeds and Liverpool. 274 games, 57 goals, 38 assists.
Yeah.
which is just incredible from
He's
midfield. He scored 14 goals in 31 games in 2002-3 at Leeds, and that got him the move to Liverpool, which was great. And like the quality of goals that he'd score from like outside the box,
pace, and then the power and stuff like that.
He was so good.
Yep. I've got the exact same in my number 3. Harry Kewell. I think he deserves to be in everyone's top 3.
Yep.
I just had some other stats about him. He won the Young Player of the Year in the Premier League in 99-2000 season. Yep. And then the PFA Team of the Year was also in that year. So that's an awesome effort. There's not many Aussies. I don't think there's hardly any Aussies that would have made that squad before. Possibly the ones we're going to talk about later.
Yeah.
And then he just got so many Aussies to support Leeds. Won the Champions League and FA Cup with Liverpool also. Like, there's no Aussies that have yet held those sort of trophies in their career. So that's awesome, and he has to be in your top 3.
Yeah.
This is where it comes down. This will be interesting. This is really tough. I think we've got the same 2.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting. Who have you got number 2?
Number 2, I've got Mark Viduka.
Oh, we've gone different. The two marks.
Different.
The two
Yeah,
marks.
the 2 marks. I've gone Mark Viduka. Yeah, obviously played at Leeds, Middlesbrough, and Newcastle for a little bit. 240 games, 92 goals, 28 assists. Yeah. That's a great record for an Aussie. Remember, he scored 4 against Liverpool in a 4-3 win.
That's nuts.
Like for a big lad, a big chunky lad, he was so good on the ball, and he was good with he was very skillful as well. Yeah. So Mark Viduka,
well, I reckon that's stiff number 2. I'm going the other one. I agree. We could go flip these 2, but Mark Schwarzer. Yeah. Mark Schwarzer has to be in your top 2. He's going to be my second. Absolute legend. I'm just going to go up to his stats here. 8th in all-time Premier League games. That's an crazy stat for an Aussie to be 8th all-time in games.
That's what was the difference.
With 514 games. That's unbelievable. 3rd all-time for clean sheets behind superstars Petr Cech and David James. If you're on a stat that's anywhere near Petr Cech as a Chelsea fan, that's unbelievable.
So 152 clean sheets. And you think about like the clubs he was at as well. Like Middlesbrough, those clean sheets were at Middlesbrough and Fulham.
That's awesome. Yeah, exactly. Especially both of those teams were on the way down. So he's got to be my number 2. I think we've already mentioned our number 1. But what's your number 1?
Obviously, Mark Schwarzer, the man who saved plenty of penalties. I think he only saved 4 Premier League penalties though.
Oh, well, that's
still a lot. But he was saving shots against like Robbie Fowler, like the best strikers in England and the world at the time. And I think on my list here, I think he was the only player to win a Premier League Player of the Month award.
Okay.
So he won the Premier League Player of the Month at Fulham as a keeper. You think about getting that award as a keeper.
I can't remember the last time Fulham had a Premier League Player of the Month. Maybe it was.
Mitrovic, maybe.
Yeah.
Mark Schwarzer for me is the best Australian to play in the Premier League.
Yeah, he's a legend. I think a lot of Aussies started to become goalkeepers because of him, especially like when we were younger. I got to go Viduka, the V-bomber, so some people like to call him. He was, absolute legend. Most goals by any Aussie of all time, as you mentioned, 92 goals, dominated Leeds, and also helped Middlesbrough to a Europa League final when they were sort of mid-table, as you mentioned. So, and I'm pretty sure it was his efforts and the Aussies' efforts to get them to that final. So, I think that's my number 1. We've done all right there. I've forgotten about poor old Everton, but
that was terrible stats guy. I don't know how you could leave him.
Other than that, let us know in the comments on YouTube or all the socials how we went and if you think we got our order right.